Hey there, welcome back to episode 5 of the FTC Student's Guide to Autodesk Inventor. I'm Nick from Hazmat Biohazards, and this episode is so long and thanks for all the parts. Finally starting part making. Last episode, you remember we talked all about the tools that we can use to make sketches, and the biggest use for sketches is for making them into 3D parts. So, just to tie back to our conceptual roadmap here, we're going to make a part by turning some sketches into features, and these features then make up different parts. So I'm going to split up part making just in general into 2 different episodes. One, making standalone parts, which we'll cover the basics of. That's this episode. And next episode, we're going to take a look at some really useful tools for relative part making within an assembly relative to other components. I've got a new part open here, and let's say we wanted to make a box. So for a box or a rectangular prism, you've got 3 dimensions. You've got length, width, and height. Now last episode that we saw that we can define dimensions in 2D. So we can pretty easily make a new sketch and make a rectangle, let's just say 1 inch by 2 inches. So if we're trying to make a box here, we now have a length and a width from this sketch, but we have to give it another dimension to make it 2D or to have any sort of volume. So check out the 3D model tab and you'll find this really nifty tool called extrude, and an extrusion is a type of feature in Inventor which is going to let us effectively set a height for our prism. So if you press extrude, or you can press the E key, you see this dialog box that wants us to select a sketch profile, and if we click inside of our little box, you can see, boom, now we've got a box. Now we can set this distance here. This is the height of our box to whatever we want. We can make it 3 inches or ½ an inch, and you see this neat little preview here of what it's going to look like. Now, if we press done, you can see that we have a solid here. We have a box, but we can actually do more than just like boxes with extrude. So let's try extruding a different profile. Let's do a circle. So if I make a sketch on this face with a circle on it, I can then extrude my circle, and then hey, look at that, we've got a cylinder. So you start to see that any shape that you can imagine drawing here can be extruded, and it's almost going to make a solid by like copying the same pattern, like up and up and up, like building it in layers almost. And if you haven't thought about it yet, that's why they call extrusion parts like extrusion. So if you look at Rev's 15mm extrusion, or X-Rail or Go Rail, if you're familiar with those, you can see that they all are one sketch on the ends of the extrusion beam that's just been extended for a set distance, and that's how they're designed. So peanut extrusion, churros, you can make all these parts with one sketch and one extrusion feature. So they're really simple to make, and that's pretty cool. Now let's try a different feature here. Let's look at the loft tool. So this can help you add some smooth curves and strength to your parts. So in this shape, we have, let's say we want to make this a longer and smoother transition from this box to the cylinder. We can loft between 2 faces of this circle and this rectangle, and we get this clean slope. Now, lofting isn't as useful really as extruding as far as fundamentally making parts, but it can definitely help clean up your parts a bit more or give extra support to parts under stress. Now, I'm actually going to undo that loft to show you something else. So let's look at extrusions again and say that I made a mistake on this cylinder and I need to change it. If I go to the sidebar here and see all the features in the part that I've made, so you can see we've got the box and the cylinder. If you click on this drop down, you can see the sketch that the extrusion is based off of. So let's edit the sketch and make this hole smaller. Just want to grab that, make it a little bit smaller. So if we press finish sketch, you'll see that the extrusion updates and now the cylinder is a lot more narrow. If you click on the feature, we can edit the extrusion as well. I'll set it to be shorter here. Now here's something important with extrusions too. We've been using them to make new solid material this far. But let's say instead of this weird cylinder on top of this box, we wanted to make it a hole instead. And if you're coming from SolidWorks, you're used to this being a separate tool. But like many things in Inventor, there's a lot of different tools in one button. So if we flip the direction here, we can set it to be a cut extrusion. And you can see that we've actually just made this area hollow. So honestly, using some good sketches and the extrusion tool, you can make just about anything you need to. But with features like loft, you can clean it up a little bit more. Same with fillet and chamfer as well. So let's polish up this box a little bit. So if you want your corners not to be spiking bad, you can use the fillet tool to round them out. So just select some edges instead of radius. You usually want one that's pretty small. And you can see we get some prettier rounded corners here. So similarly is the chamfer tool, which we can take the sharpness off, and it gives it sort of a different look with this triangular cut. Just set your edges and the distance for the cut. I'll also really quickly clear this workspace and show the revolve tool. Now this is a cool feature type that I don't think I've ever had to use in FTC, but it is kind of neat just to look at or think about. If you make a circle or something and you select an axis to revolve it around, you can get sort of a curved extrusion about an axis. Now, like I've said, I've never really used this for robotics, but it's pretty cool for like rotational parts. And if you had a lathe, you might be able to design some really cool stuff out of this. All right, well, that's it for this time. Next episode, we're going to look at how we can use this stuff in assemblies. So I'd recommend now that you mess around with the feature tools that we just went over, so you have a little bit of an idea of how they work and how to make some shapes. Just like the constraints episode, I'm going to go through some of the examples right now if you feel like that would help you. If not, just work on your own or head over to the next episode for some more powerful part making tools. Thanks.